All right, guys, thank you for joining me this morning. I was going to say tonight. Thank you. So, I think I figured out the problem with the live streams. And this is just a theory right now, but it seems like on the Angry Prepper, my channel slows down, my videos slow down. But on the Angry Truth, it doesn't. It doesn't have a problem. And I thought it was because of overheating, but come to find out, but I think that it's because there are too many people watching a live stream on the Angry Prepper. Because with this, there's only 25 people. Last night, I think I maxed out at 200, and it was fine. But once I started hitting that 800 threshold, the computer just started acting up. I mean, it could be that. I don't know. Either way, guys, let's get the 5x5s out of the way. Flown Grown, Rev Rebel, Mr. Landfill, thank you for the 5x5. Dan H. Richard, thank you for the 5x5. Steel City, what's going on? Somebody, Falcon, said last night was fun. They're fun. Those are fun nights, but like in the morning, I don't get that. I don't get that fun. Still tired, man. Trying to wake up. It's bullshit. This I have a sign on my bed, not on my bed, but on a dresser that says "Do what you hate and get up." Right. So I look at that sign. I'm like, motherfucker, and then I get up and get my day started. It takes me forever to get awake. So bear with me this morning. I am a little tired. Maybe the weeks are starting to catch up to me with the constant working out and shit. I don't know. Scorpion Tiger, King of Appalachia, thank you for the 5x5. Yes, Jason, this is the RNN network. Oh, I was supposed to start the movie channel last night and I didn't get around to it. I started to, man, and then I just like, fuck it, I'm going to bed. And I went to bed and I looked at the clock and it was 12 o'clock. I was in bed early for a change. And then I was like, shit, this is it. This is what getting old is like. Now, I know some people, they're in bed by 10. I was trying to get to bed by 10, but that's hard, man. That's hard to do. So, here we are, old as fuck, in the morning, talking about news that's going around. So, I wanted to start out with this bit of news and only talking about it. Some people won't recognize this, and some of you guys will. But there was a woman who was offed and stuffed into a sleeping bag and then dragged out by the garbage. Now, I'll tell you why I'm talking about this in a little bit. But anyway, New York man suspected of killing Yasmin Williams last Friday was met with a furious and vengeful crowd during his arrest early this week. Chad Irish, the person of interest who's taken into custody Monday and has since been charged in connections to the killing, according to NYPD. However, distraught and angry neighbors are not letting go what happened without a fight. So now, this guy, apparently, Chad Irish, you would have told me Chad Irish. You would have been like, yo, the suspect name is Chad Irish. I'd have been like, that's a white dude, right? No, Chad Irish is a black man. Chad Irish? Like, who could go wrong? Like, I would have bet my pension that Chad Irish is white, just based on that name. Anyway, now, I saw the video, and in the video, people are attacking him. He comes out on a stretcher because he tried to play that bullshit game. I had him acting. Anyway, I have my coffee. I have my mud coffee. But anyway, so they come out. He comes out on a stretcher. They have the detective squad there, right? So not just one detective. They had like, I think it was 8 of them, or maybe 6 to 8 of them. And they're rolling him out in the stretcher. And people on the outside of the building, they're like, yo, bring him out, bring him out. So now I look at the building and I go, is that the building And so they pull him outside. I'm like, oh shit, I used to live there. That's the building I used to live in. I don't know this Chad Irish guy. But anyway, I look at the building. I'm like, oh shit. So I contact my stepson. I'm like, yo, you know this dude? And he gets back to me about 3 hours later, like fucking kids do, right? They get back to you when they fucking feel like it. And he goes, yeah, that was my girl. Not his girlfriend, but his buddy, his friend. and the guy wound up putting a bullet in her head. So it's unclear as to why this girl was here. And supposedly she was a homeless activist, right? So she advocated for homeless people getting homes and things like that. All right. So watching the video, he goes, "Yeah, I was in the video." And I look at the video again, and there goes my fucking son throwing a haymaker at the guy in the stretcher. Now, one part of me was like, good for him, but the other part of me was like, he was handcuffed to a stretcher. The guy couldn't defend himself. Neither could the chick. So I guess they're even in that aspect. But they were whipping this guy's ass, whipping his ass, and the cops were trying to stop it, but they were like, like, oh, like they would dip to the left or to the right, to the left, and then they were throwing hits, and then another cops were trying to stop it. It was like the worst protection detail I've ever seen. And this guy probably deserved it. I mean, he looked like a psych patient anyway. But still in all, guys, things in the city are getting very interesting. Now, the anger and frustration over the heinous crime reached its boiling point in Kips Bay neighborhood when the police apprehended Irish just a stone's throw away from where Yasmin's body was discovered. So again, this guy's in a wheelchair or a motorized wheelchair, and he dragged the body out in the sleeping bag to the garbage. As the authorities prepared to transfer him to the gurney, a crowd of enraged community members gathered and unleashed their fury. Video captures the chaotic scene as family and friends of Yasmin clash with the police and EMTs, desperately trying to get to Irish. Amidst the chaos, several individuals punched him, while others can be heard pleading for the crowd to take matters into their own hands. I agree. Even attempting to tear his shirt off. Okay. Despite the hostile environment, the man asserted his innocence, desperately playing his case to the angry mob. Eventually, he was loaded into the ambulance, which swiftly departed from the scene. Now, this guy, the hard part, guys, about being a all right, Northern Girl, we will talk about that in a second. But the whole part about being a vigilante is that you have to know that this guy did it. And there has been cases where the wrong guy was hurt and or killed. Right? The wrong person. Look at the Central Park 5. Those kids, for decades, were blamed for raping that woman in Central Park. Right? This was back in the 80s, right? Was it the 80s or the 90s? Anyway, they were called the Central Park 5. And for years, they were blamed for this mess. And a lot of them said that they didn't, and a couple of them said that they did. And only because the cops coerced them into saying these things that they never did. 10, 15 years later, the guy who did it admitted to doing it. Right? And so I remember he was an old cop. He was a fireman in my house. He retired, but he was a cop back when that happened. And he was like, but those kids did something. I'm like, so those kids should have went away for 10, 15 years for something they didn't do? And he was like, well, I said, dude, the guy admitted to it. He admitted in detail to what he did to that lady. And those kids got the blame. So we have to be careful when shit like this happens, right? Now, this guy was on video dragging her out. So there's no misidentifying or miscommunication in that manner. But moving forward, whenever you're doing this shit, you got to be careful because you could be beating up the wrong guy. Because people want justice quickly, and often enough, as we've seen in the past, the wrong person is pointed out or fingered out, and they're like, that dude did it, and in case it wasn't him. There are people getting released from jail now who were blamed for these crimes or whatever crimes they committed, and now DNA is saying otherwise. So we do have to be careful, but I do applaud the community coming together and whipping his ass. That was pretty cool. All right. Now, something a little more pressing, because we are witnessing, guys, we have seen what's going on with Biden. Biden has not been there for quite some time. I'm not sure what the Democrats were looking at. I'm not sure if they were just turning a blind eye to it. But how come he does a debate and now all of a sudden Democrats are like, yo, he's got to step down. This can't happen. You know? We were saying this for years. And now all of a sudden the debate comes along and here he is. And now here he is. The Democrats are like, yo, he can't run. Anyway, NBC News anchor George Stephanopoulos, I can never pronounce his name, admitted Tuesday that he does not believe President Biden can serve out a second term, days after conducting a closely watched interview with Commander-in-Chief following his disastrous debate performance against Donald Trump last month. Now, to be fair, Stephanopoulos, whatever the hell his name is, 63, was recorded in a video obtained by TMZ answering a question from a passerby in Midtown Monday about Biden's political future. Do you think Biden should step down? The anonymous interrogator, it wasn't an interrogator, it was an anonymous passerby, asked the Good Morning America co-host and This Week mediator. You don't think he can serve 4 more years? The questioner repeated before adding, all right, that's an answer. Meanwhile, Stephanopoulos didn't answer the guy. He probably just stared at him in deer in headlights and went, yeah, dude, we know. Hours later, after the video made headlines, Stephanopoulos expressed regret for offering his candid response. Earlier today, I responded to a question from a passerby I shouldn't have. Of course he should have. Listen, the president is a public figure. He's not a corporate executive. He's not a CEO. He's a public figure. He's a public representative of the United States of America. That being said, anybody who interviews him or is asked questions about him, your honest opinion and or answer is supposed to be answered. I don't understand how we come to this level where now guys are like, I shouldn't have I shouldn't have answered that. Give me a second, guys. Fuck. I'll clean up the mess later, but anyway, so he's a public figure, guys. He's a representative of this country, and we're trying to hide the fact that this man is a psych patient. Not that he's a psych patient, but he just can't run for this country anymore. And now the Republicans are shocked. They're like, oh my God, what fucking happened? Yeah, you know what? It's just that where it happened. You know, like maybe if I would have had this shit cleaned off, I wouldn't have so much to clean. Euro. I got to Euro finally, but that's when I went to Greece. Anyway, you know, it's shit like my memory cards, which you know they'll dry out, but again, it just sucks to clean this shit up. And then this thing is fucking all. And that was all my coffee. Fuck, man. That was all of it. Anyway. So, the Obama theory now comes into play because look at all the shit that's going on, right? Look at everything that happened with Biden. And, of course, Biden's going to sit there and say, well, you know, I'm going to continue to run. Yeah, because you're being told that you have to run. You can't bail out now. Yeah, man, Greece was nice. Greece was actually a nice trip. I didn't like the food at fucking all, especially with the pancakes. That fucking cheese on pancakes. Anyway, please don't get me started. But, This just teaches me to keep this shit more clean. That's all it is. That's all it's doing. But it wasn't that bad. I mean, oh shit. It was that bad. But I'll get to it later. But yeah, guys, the Democratic Party is fucked. I don't know what else more to say about it. They can't. They don't have anybody else to run, and the craziness is that they should have had somebody on standby when Biden announced that he was going to run, and of course they don't. And now they're panicking, and the Democrats that are panicking are Democrats now who are like, he promised me X, Y, and Z. He's probably gonna forget, you know. Of course he's gonna forget. Fucking guy can't remember what the fuck he had yesterday. I mean, I can't remember what I had yesterday either, but that's not the point. All right. It's amazing where this stuff goes. And the worst part about all of this shit is that it was all my coffee. Now I gotta sit here and fucking grin and bear it for the next couple minutes. But whatever. It is what it is. And this shit's sticky too. Thank God I didn't put any sugar in it. But yeah, anyway. My dad had Parkinson's and was stubborn and did what he wanted till the end. Well, most people will be stubborn in that regard, right? Most people are stubborn in that regard. I mean, my father had Alzheimer's, a lot of you know. And when he found out that he had it, my mother told me he was devastated. And I was a little confused because I'm like, how was he devastated when he told us this was going to happen? And I guess knowing that it's coming and then having it happen are two very different things, I guess. But that shit was a mess, man. Damn. At that point, I would have rather this ship in water. But now this is going to be like super clean because I'm never putting anything else back on here again. So, that being said, guys, let's finish this article. An estimated 8.5 million Americans watched at least some of Stephanopoulos' 22-minute post-debate interview with Biden, who's now 81 years old, which aired July 5th and was rebroadcasted on This Week following Sunday. During the sit-down, Biden failed to quell concern about his cognitive fitness for president following the disastrous debate, claiming that he had been exhausted and sick with a bad cold before whining that he had let supposed crosstalk by Trump 78 distract him. This is what he said. And even forgetting whether he had watched footage of his meltdown. Anyway, guys, Biden has claimed that his frequent errors were a bad episode rather than a sign of permanent deterioration. Now, keep this in mind. I read an article yesterday stating that a neurological doctor has been stopping by the White House a couple of times. If I'm not mistaken, the doctor stopped by 8 different times. Fuck. You know the worst thing about this stuff? It stains. Fuck me. Anyway, and neurological doctor, guys, stopping by 8 fucking times is a problem. Clearly it is, right? Clearly that's showing that something is wrong. And oh shit. Damn it, fuck. And they don't want to admit to it. But now everybody, guys, is starting to admit to this nonsense. Now, what do we know about the fallout from President Biden's debate? President Biden's poor performance in the first 2024 presidential debate. I can't believe they're gonna have a fucking another one. Because supposedly that's the word. Has left even some Democrats unsure of his fitness for office in the future as the party candidate. Former President Barack Obama admitted that Biden had a bad debate, while his rival, former President Donald Trump, suggested that he was in a trance and choked. Yeah, absolutely he did. Again, guys, I didn't watch this debate because I knew exactly what was going to happen. In fact, not only did I know what was going to happen, because you can't hide that, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of everybody's time. Biden told the crowd at North Carolina rally the day after the debate that he doesn't debate as well as he used to, but insisted that he can still do his job. Bullshit. The New York Times editorial board called on the president to serve the country by dropping out of the race. The Atlanta Journal-Constitute published a similar editorial a day later. Everybody's calling for this man to leave. Biden gathered with his family at Camp David to assess the campaign's future, with his son Hunter reportedly pushing him to stay in the race. Family members questioned whether the president's top advisor should be fired after the disastrous debate. They absolutely should. In a pre-taped interview with ABC anchor George Stephanopoulos, pretty sure that's how you say it, Biden claimed that his bad episode at the debate was a result of a cold and not a cognitive issue. Again, guys, those of us who had family members that had cognitive issues can identify that. We look at it and go, Stephanie, you're right. We looked at it and go, yo, there's something wrong with him. How does somebody in mid-sentence go, I'm like, that's not a bad cold. He's been doing this shit for a year now. Yo, I got it on shit that I should not have gotten this on. On a fucking table, not even attached. Fuck. But, yeah. Big time fuck up, guys. And now the cleanup is starting. They're like, oh, and listen, they can't find anybody else. This is my mother's correction desk. She was a correction officer. She was a fire safety officer. Quick story about that. She went to the Rock, which is known as the Fire Academy, to train to be a fire safety officer. She had to, back in the 80s, put on bunker gear and a mask and crawl around in the dark and in smoke to get her title as the fire safety officer. They broke her fucking balls. She told me that they broke her balls. But she also said that that job is for men. I was like, no shit, it's for men. Firefighting is not, and I hate to spoil a lot of women, firefighting is not a job. It's a job for young women. Let me rephrase that. A physically fit young female can handle this job. After the age of 35 and 40, most women can't handle this job. Here, at least you're not lagging, take the win. I guess. But if I'm not lagging, I'm spilling my fucking coffee all over the apartment. Right? And then I gotta get in there. I gotta get in this crack here and fucking clean it. But that doesn't sound inappropriate. Anyway. So she did the Fire Academy training, and she was in her 30s when she did that. And she said that they were respectful of her. They didn't they broke her balls, but they also didn't fucking, try to break her. And she was already in her 30s. Firefighting, again, it's actually a young person's game. I mean, I'm 46, and after each fire now, I'm like, yo, I feel different now than I did before. When I first got to the job, I was like, you were able to go to probably 2 or 3 and not bat an eyelash. I go to 1, and I'm like, yo, I want to go to sleep, We listen. All of us over the age of 40, we do what we have to do. As simple as that. It's that. But if there are a lot of females who are in their 40s who are now hiding somewhere amongst the job. They're not in their field anymore. And listen, a lot of these chicks, they got on, I'll do this till I retire. No, you won't. Your body won't let you do that. Now, if you're in a slow company or a slow house, that's a different story. Right? He said, you're a hot mess this morning. I am. But yeah, I think I got most of it cleaned up. It's fine. But yeah, guys, it's just not. A lot of people think that firefighting is an easy job, and a lot of women, especially these liberal chicks, they think it's an easy job. The fuck it is. It really isn't. But again, you can't tell women that shit You also had 2 years off. Yes, I did. I had 2 years off. And still, I had 2 years off, and I had to get back into shape to get back on the job. That's the other thing, you know. So I mean, like when they told me I was going back, I was back in the fucking gym, like, doing push-ups and shit and trying to drop weight because you can't do that job, old and fat. It's one or the other, right? You can't do both, and and you have to be flexible, right? So you have to do all of these exercises and all of these maneuvers and all of these conditioning work to keep your body able to handle what you're going to handle, stepping on and off the rig, jumping off a fucking onto the street from the rig, jumping off one roof to the next. It's a lot, you know. And when you're older, you have to be more cognitive of that because you'll get hurt like that, right? So anyway, yeah. So anyway, guys, this is the nonsense that we are facing with this election. And again, the Democratic Party doesn't have anybody to help them do this. I'm pretty sure, guys, they were looking at names. I'm pretty sure that there was a secret meeting somewhere, and they were like, who do we have? Who could we put up front? No one. You can't put anybody up front. There is nobody right now that can serve or go through the whole presidency or run for president, sorry. And there's nobody, I think, that's smart enough to do it. Now, I'm not saying Trump is a smart man either. I mean, he's smart, but he's not, worthy of running this presidency. But he's the only choice we have. And I know that he has a lot of advisors, and his advisors have been stepping up and doing what needs to be done. But Trump's too old, too. Let's face it, guys. He is just too goddamn old to run for presidency. Simple. I wanted to be a firefighter. I'm a massage therapist, though. You could do that shit well into your fucking 70s. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe not. Listen, guys, as far as working into your retirement age, 65 should be the cutoff for everyone. And I know that it's not afforded to everyone to do so, but yeah, you can't work until you die, man. That's not acceptable. Like, not at all. But, anyway, let's move on. All right, so the NYC migrant crisis, guys, obviously is getting a lot worse. Now, I keep saying I'm going to do a walkabout in the city, and I'm going to do one in the next couple of days. I'm going to walk around the neighborhood and show you the nonsense. I'm going to start from 168th Street, and I'm going to walk up this way, and we're going to live stream the nonsense that's going on here. But I'm also going to point out certain things that you guys probably don't see in your neighborhood. He's just crooked. Yeah, went to Homestead. He's definitely, listen, went to Homestead. All politicians are crooked. Everybody keeps saying that Trump is crooked. He's a politician and he's a businessman. How could you not be crooked? All of these guys are crooked. All of them. There's not a single politician there are a couple politicians that are not, and those are politicians that don't move up the rank. Right? So politicians that don't move up the rank, those are the guys that are not crooked because they refuse to damage their reputation. But because they want to keep a clean reputation, they stay at the bottom rungs of the political field. Such is life. Anyway, with that, guys, the migrant situation in New York City is bad. And you guys know this already because I've said it multiple times. But it's getting worse with the crime and the crime that the migrants are committing. And they're committing a lot of it now. They are, in fact, taking over a lot of streets and blocks in Queens. And that infection is only going to grow as it gets worse. Udman 18, don't bring your family to... If you're looking to... Let me rephrase them. If you're coming to New York City to look at this, to sightsee, if you're looking to hit some of the monuments and buildings and food, yes. But the crime is getting so bad, you have to keep your head on a swivel. And that's the only downside to it. I mean, listen, it is good. You can't come down here to the Empire State Building, the World Trade Building, to go see the 9/11 Memorial if you're here. And the Statue of Liberty, that's a nice thing to see, sightseeing. A lot of this stuff, there's a lot of good shit to see here. There's some good tours here that you can take where they talk about certain things like in Harlem that you would never ever expect. But yeah, I mean, but try to avoid it if you can. I mean, if you hard up on coming, come. But yeah, man, I take New York City for granted because I was born and raised here. But there's a lot to see. There's a lot of good shit to see here, you know. And that's me stepping back and looking at it from a tourist view. There's a lot of good shit to see here. I just hate this fucking city. I try to deter people from coming here so that this shithole can lose more money. Anyway, NYC migrant crisis is crushing the city's poorest residents. Hard data prove that progressive madness is smashing New York's most vulnerable. 3 of the 5 NYC zip codes with the city's highest concentration of migrant shelters among the poorest. Now, the biggest area being hit is Queens and Brooklyn, and then downtown New York. Right, so downtown New York area, around the 42nd Street area, around the area where the tourists are being hit the hardest. There's one facility up here in Washington Heights, but that's it. Eric Adams, with this article, by the way, the small article, Eric Adams is still trying to get New York City's asylum, how did he put it? Sanctioned city label off. Like he's trying to get New York City out of being a sanctioned city. A sanctuary city, sorry, excuse me. So New York City or New York State is a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city. New York City is a sanctuary city. He's trying to get that reversed now. Now, New York City's been a sanctuary city since the 1800s, I think, or early 1900s. So it's been a long time. It's like nothing new. But now he's trying to get it reversed because if he gets it reversed, he can tell migrants to kick rocks or illegal immigrants to kick rocks. And he can't do that now according to the law. But again, that's bullshit because these politicians do what they want. They do whatever the fuck they want. They do whatever the hell they feel. But he's trying to get the sanctuary city status reversed. And that's not going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's just going to take some time. So that's pretty much it. Now, I did skip something about the girl that was killed, right? Yasmin, what was her name? Yasmin Williams. This is something that they said, more on what happened with Yasmin. The discovery of Yasmin's body has left the community outraged, obviously. She's 31 years old and was stuffed into a garbage bag, which was actually a sleeping bag, and then pulled out in front of the building. Medical examiners had determined that the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head. No shit. As investigators delve deeper into the case, they are now exploring the possibility of the connection between Yasmin and the man taken into custody. The Post reported that Nicole, Yasmin's mother, claimed that the man in the wheelchair knew her daughter, although the exact nature of the relationship is unclear. And it's very, very odd, if you ask me. Adding the evidence, sources have disclosed to Fox News that the police possessed surveillance footage showing the man in the electric wheelchair dragging the bag to the location where Yasmin's body was later found. However, motive behind the killing still remains unknown. Now, this guy is clearly a psych patient. He had psychological problems as well. He is still trying to talk about his innocence, so I don't know if we're ever going to know why he did it. Such is life. Anyway, gunslinger. Trump's gap has closed more. It's not closed all the way, but it's closed more. Now, the gap was Trump had 7% of New York state vote. He is now at 26%, maybe a little higher after the election. But that's a gap closure if I haven't seen one. Could he win New York after that debate? Who knows? But if he won New York City, forget it. All hell's going to break loose. Because the liberals are going to be like, but, they're going to start crying and shit like bitches. Anyway, with that, guys, I'm going to go off to you now. I got to get a workout and clean up this bullshit. Do a couple more videos. I am off today, so the sooner I get everything done, the sooner I can relax for the rest of the day. Wednesdays are sort of like my days off, where I do everything Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday afternoon, I try to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the week, which is more like having a day off. Anyway, guys, thank you for following me. Thank you for dealing with my bullshit, and I will see you guys later.